All right, I think we're in. Oh, it looks like people have had comments here before. Oh, that's because this is my first time when I've actually tried scheduling it. So, Russ here for Aquarimax Live 10/20/17. Greetings, everyone. If you have been sending comments in and haven't been receiving any replies, that's why. So go ahead and send them again if you need to. Little Bob's in the house, Dinosaurs Terror World, Potato Derp in here. Who else is here? Let's see. Roger Dedham is here too. Okay, I think. Thank you. Liking the beard. I appreciate that. I'm growing it out for Halloween, just doing the whole thing, so thank you. All right, well, a lot of things are going on. I've been having some interesting things happening in the aquarium and vivarium world. Oh, thank you, Dinosaurs Terror World. Likes my hair. Thank you. I was about to get it cut. Maybe I shouldn't anymore. But I have 2 more species that are going to be showing up in a new video. I did some unboxings, and they're going to be showing up in videos very soon. Sean Meister, hello, welcome. At Dinosaurs Terror World, how do you like my last video? That was the funny one where you had the dinosaurs fighting, wasn't it? So yeah, I like that one. That was fun. Michael's here, and Little Bob says we're giving loads of compliments today. Yes, that's true. Oh, so what I wanted to mention, keep an eye out for the unboxing videos that are coming very soon with 2 new species. I don't remember Paul Boyle. Hi, Russ from the UK. Hi, Paul. Welcome. Glad you're joining us. Okay, so Dinosaur Terror World has some questions. I'm ready to take some questions right now. The fish don't need to go fishing. The fish are dive bombing you. So go ahead and hit me with some questions if you like to. I'm ready. If I have time to talk about some other things, I will. Hi from Qatar. Yep, Dinosaur Terror World joining us all the way from Qatar. So we've got UK, got Qatar. Lots of, if you want to tell us where you're from, Roger Dedham is from Deep Woods, Maine. Says we have wood lice in the backyard. Can I feed these direct to my reptiles, or should I culture first? Well, that's a good question. There are a couple of issues that could arise. One, possible parasites. I'm not particularly aware of what types of parasites might be transmissible to reptiles, but I would culture first, partly because wood lice can concentrate heavy metals in their tissues, and in a culture environment, not likely to get a lot of those heavy metals, but they very well might in the wild, even if they're not, you may not be aware of what kind of heavy metals are in the area, and they may be collecting them. So yeah, I would definitely wait to feed them after you've started culturing them. So let's see. So we've got, if mealworm culture gets too dry, can they dry out? Dinosaurs Terror World says, yes, they can. That does happen. So you want to have a balance. They need to be kept fairly dry so you don't get mites and other problems, fungus, whatever. But too dry will kill them. So the idea is to try to keep the substrate fairly dry, but give them moist things that they can eat, whether those are water crystals or vegetables or fruits, things like that. So the Vividin says, has the genetic confirmation for Tiki's parthenogenesis come through yet? So our crested gecko laid an egg that hatched into a baby without ever having mated. So yeah, we haven't had the confirmation yet. We've sent it in, but we're waiting. And so we have Sean Meister in Taos, New Mexico. Is that how you pronounce it? And the Vividin in Cedar City, Utah. Little Bob said, I wouldn't be comfortable with feeding directly pesticides, parasites, bacteria. That's the other one. Pesticides are a possible danger. Deep Woods, Maine sounds like maybe they're not so much of a danger in that situation, but certainly the heavy metals and parasites could be. Dinosaurs Terror World, if mealworm culture gets overfed, can they die out? Depends on the food, but if the culture gets too humid, then definitely yes. How do I tell if Gary is a half moon or a delta tail? From Potato Derp. Gary is a betta. You can tell basically when the betta is flaring. If there's a 180 degree, there's an exact half circle. That's a half moon. It's technically referred to as an over half moon if it has more than 180 degrees spread. And if it has Denny's Aquarium, thank you. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for dropping a like. And okay, so he said he can't stay, but he dropped a like. So thank you, Denny's Aquariums. So the delta tail is just anything less than that, but fairly wide, basically. I mean, that's not the most technical way to put it, but if it's less than a half moon and it's that sort of shape, it's kind of a wedge shape, then a delta tail. A super delta and delta, there's a finer distinction, but that's basically how that works. And Dinosaur Terror World, how's your new species of isopods? Doing well. I'm really excited about them, in fact. And my isopod poultry is growing in size. That's good. The Vividin said, looks like your Obi-Wan beard is coming along nicely. Oh, yeah, it's getting close. Where is your wife, Kelly? She is actually traveling today, so she can't join us. But she'll be back on Sunday. So she just left this morning. Andrew Kerrigan is in the house. Dinosaurs Terror World, can male leopard get bigger than the females? Male leopard geckos, I'm assuming you mean. And yes, they typically do get larger than the females. And do you like bearded dragons? Yes, I do. I haven't ever kept one. I've only babysat one, but I do like them. And Little Bob says she's good at evading that dance. Yeah, she was going to dance for us. Actually, that's where she's going. She's going to a dance competition. So we'll see how that goes. Andrew Kerrigan says, I have a little bit of substrate in my drainage layer. When does it become a problem? Good question. A little bit, it's almost impossible to avoid a little bit. If you don't see any issues and the water is clear or just very slightly tinted, when you add water, you see just a slight tint, or the water is essentially clear when the substrate gets down there to the drainage layer. I wouldn't worry about it. If you see a lot of it falling down and it keeps falling especially, and it gets, you see it's discoloring the water a lot, then yes, that's a problem. The biggest issue, though, I would say, is if you get the water reaching the drainage layer, but it sounds like you just have a little bit of substrate. I wouldn't worry about it. In these tanks behind me, you can see, I'm going to move a little bit. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little bit of substrate that down in this drainage layer that is, it makes the drainage layer a little darker, but it's not a big deal. Okay, so Andrew Kerrigan says, just have a half or a quarter of a tablespoon. Yeah, that's probably not enough to worry about if it's a, unless it's a tiny, tiny vivarium, you're probably fine. And Dinosaur Terror World says almost 5K. Yeah, I'm really, really close to 5,000 subscribers. I think last time I checked, there are fewer than 40. And then we'll be at 5,000, so that's pretty exciting. And Dinosaur, oh, nope, I'm missing some. Let's see. Let's see, no, Stoogie or Stoogie, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Hey man, I finally caught your stream. I always miss them. How's your Armadillidium maculatum colony going? Those are zebra pill bugs. My colony is finally starting to reproduce, even though, where is it? Oh, I lost it. Even though I purchased them in early March. Yeah, it took mine a while to start. They're doing pretty well. I sold, I don't know, I've sold a few hundred of them, I think. And I actually had to buy a few more because there was such demand that I was selling them off, and I only had maybe, I don't know, 50 or so left, so I bought a few more to kind of bolster my numbers. But yeah, once they get going, they really go. They really reproduce well. So I'm glad to hear that yours is finally reproducing, and yeah, mine's doing well, except I just had to, like I said, I had to buy a few more because they're in such demand. Dinosaurs Terror World says, have you ever thought on getting black soldier fly larvae? I have. But Kelly, my wife, would never go for me culturing them in the house. I'm certain about that. So I may set up something outside sometime. She would probably go for that. But I've heard they don't do extremely well in my area. Might be worth just trying anyway, so we'll see how it goes. Little Bob says, have you ever kept ants, or would you ever consider it? Yes, I have. I started an ant colony, it's been a long time now, maybe 15 years or so ago. I collected 3 females when I saw that they were queening. When the queens descend after the nuptial flight and they've mated, they rip off their wings, in a lot of species at least, and they start finding a place to go. This particular species was a colonial species. I don't remember what species it was, but well, the females will kind of group together for a while and set up a colony, and then they will to kind of help each other. And I did that. I had 3 queens, and then one queen, once they had started colonizing, killed the other 2 queens, and then she remained the queen of the colony for like 3 years or so. I had the colony for about that long, and I made it out of a plastic, like an acrylic type box with holes that I drilled into it, and I attached aquarium airline tubing, and then I attached test tubes to it, and with the rubber stoppers with the little glass tubes through them, so that it was this network of tubes and test tubes connected to this acrylic box. It was pretty cool. So there you go. That's what I've done. It was very interesting, but I haven't done it since then. Roger Dedham says, "Can I ask a fish tank question?" Yes, you can. Please go ahead. I'm trying to catch up here. Little Bob says, 4,964. You deserve more. Thank you. I hope I will. So Potato Derp says, "You see my most recent comment about Gary?" I know, I think I missed that one. How's your mealworm culture doing? Mealworms are doing well. Roger Dedham says, so he's asking his aquarium question. "I have well water and there is no chlorine or chloramine supposedly. Should I still use dechlorinator just in case, or am I wasting my money for peace of mind?" Well, if you're sure there's no it's a well water, there's not going to be chlorine or chloramine. That is pretty cut and dried if it's well water. However, there could be other materials in there, in the water, that could be problematic. I've heard people have horror stories about well water. Sometimes well water can be excellent, but there can be things like huge amounts of nitrates or particular metals in it, different things like that. So what you might want to consider doing is, if you can get a nice local fish store that will do comprehensive test on your water for free, bring in a sample of that water and see what they get in the test before you use it. And then I would say don't use anything really expensive in it before you find out anything about that. So let's see. All right, so James Bonani says, "How long does it take for pill bugs and springtails to reproduce?" Well, it depends. Springtails are pretty fast to start reproducing, and so are pill bugs, but it kind of depends on the age when you're talking about. Like if you're starting out with adults, you could have pill bug babies within a couple of weeks. The bright orange vigor pill bugs that I got and I released a video on recently, I got them, it's been 2 or 3 weeks, I guess, and I just checked on them within this week, and I now have 24 babies, something like that. So it can be really fast if they're adult, and by adult I mean about 1/3 of their full size. It doesn't, they don't wait to reproduce until they're full grown. They just start reproducing at about 1/3 of their full size. So it could be any time if you're starting with adults. And then springtails, I usually notice a few baby springtails within a couple of weeks, but they don't really start reproducing, in my experience, usually after a month. But that's when you start seeing large numbers of babies, but you'll see them, within a week or so. Andrew Kerrigan says, "Would you consider getting a Pac-Man frog?" Yes, I've actually thought about it quite a bit. I think that would be cool. I'd love to do a bioactive setup with a Pac-Man frog. I think that would be fun. I'm just not entirely sure that it would be really happy with the crickets that I would probably feed it. I mean, it would eat them, but would probably enjoy some more variety with bigger foods, so I'm not sure about that. I have thought about using the prepared diets that people feed them now. So, Dinosaurs Terror World, how much money does a dart frog cost? Well, in US dollars, it depends on the species. You can sometimes get a young one, and it depends on the species and the morph and all kinds of things. But like the entry level cost for a froglet, probably between $35 and $40. But then it goes up from there, and it goes up a lot from there. Sometimes it can be thousands for one frog. So here we go. All right. So, sorry, I'm just catching up on trying to find out where I am. So, Yeti Grant in the house, thank you for joining us. Says, "Love your videos." Thank you. And Dinosaur's Terror World says the same thing. Thank you. Sean Meister, my tap water is quite high in phosphates. And Fresno Cascabel says, watch out for phosphates in well water if you're using it for amphibians. Yeah, and even if you're not, algae growth from the phosphates. So that's one of the things that can show up in well water. And Andrew Chid says, Aquarimax, my mantids hatched. Have you seen my video? I have, and I think I even commented on it. And Dinosaur's Terror World says, I love the live stream thumbnail. Thank you. I decided to try that out. It's a new thing. You can upload your thumbnail rather than just snapshot it. So I wanted to try that. Little Bob says, I have some plants in my room and decided to stick some grass in there. Oh, lost it. Now I have a colony of springtails. I love it. And yeah, that's one thing about using grass from outside. Springtails are ubiquitous in any soil that's moist enough for them, so you're going to end up getting some that way. Potato Derp says, wow, sorry, it's moving fast. My Corydoras probably aren't quite mature yet. Maybe that's why they won't lay eggs. They're fully sized, but don't they take a bit longer to mature? That could be. That could be. Andrew Kerrigan says, I have one in a bioactive setup. Oh, your Pac-Man frog. And is that working out for you? Because I've heard people say various things about it. I think a well-conceived bioactive substrate should work really well, but I've never had one, a Pac-Man frog in one, so I just want to know how that's going. Crazy Guppy Lady says, what are you planning on doing with the pill bugs? I used to play with them as a child. I was fascinated with them. Well, I sell a lot of them for bioactive setups because they're a really good cleanup crew. But I also sell them just as pets, and I keep them for both reasons myself. They're really good for cleaning up after a lot of my creatures. Some of my creatures eat them, and then there's also the fact that I sell them for those reasons. So the Arachnid, welcome, says, how long does it take for baby isopods to become adults? Also depends on the species. Some of the armadillidiums can be a long time. Close to a year or more before they're full size. They'll start reproducing before that, but it takes a while. And then some of the smaller species are fast, just within a few weeks or months. So pretty fast. So it varies a lot. But I would say that I have gone from just being born to mature ones fairly quickly. Within 6 months for most species, if not faster. So Roger Dedham says, adult Pac-Man frogs do good on mice. Is this correct? And Little Bob says, Roger, not all the time, but some mice now and then is great. Yeah, but they can get obese, I've heard, quite obese, and have deficiencies if it's like a steady diet. But like Little Bob says, once in a while, a lot of people give them to their Pac-Man frogs with no problem. Sean Meister says, yep, I get a steady supply of algae, referring to the phosphates in the water. Fresno Cascabel says, do you still have your Tanganyika and cichlid tanks going? I do. I do, and my multi-tank is going crazy, lots of fry. The Julitochromis are not really producing fry. I'm not sure if they ever will or whatever. I've been boosting the live foods, which has made the multis produce more fry. I have 3 different pairs producing fry at the moment, but yeah, they're doing really well, but the Julitochromis are not producing fry. So James Bonani says, if you're looking to get any reptile or frog, I've recently learned about reptile expos. They have much better animals and pricing directly from the breeders. No more stores for me. Yeah, I prefer picking up reptiles, either going directly to the breeder or an expo where you can meet the breeders as well. And what I mean is going to the expo as opposed to actually going to their house or their breeding establishment, wherever it is. I really like them, and you can find a better selection at better prices too. So Potato Derp says, where can I get Brachyneca gigas eggs? I think I'm ready. The only source I know of is ArizonaFairyShrimp.com. That is the only source that I've heard of for Brachyneca gigas eggs, which are a giant kind of carnivorous fairy shrimp, for those of you who don't know. So Roger Dedham and Dinosaur's Terror World, they both love isopods or pill bugs. Roger Dedham says, I love pill bugs and never thought of them as pets. Yeah, a lot of people don't think of them as pets, but now there are so many crazy varieties out there. Just a little hint, you're going to see some crazy isopods pretty soon on my channel that you haven't seen yet. Oh, catch that cricket, G-Bear says. I wish I could. It's hiding behind something heavy. But it seems to have quieted for now. James Bonani says, can I buy some of the orange pill bugs from you? I will be doing a bioactive when my exoterra arrives. You probably can as soon as I have enough breeding. I'm going to have to get them going. But if you want to buy something else in the meantime, another type of isopod for your vivarium, I have other types that are available, but if you want to hold out for those, that's fine too. Andrew Kerrigan said, the substrate tutorial used before I found your channel, it was from Serpa Design. Oh yeah, that is a great channel. He's got a lot of good stuff up there, and he makes some really nice designs in his vivariums. Okay, let's see. Wet Lawn Mulch, does anyone know a community fish that will eat seed shrimp? Seems to me, don't guppies eat seed shrimp? I think I've had that experience before. Sean Meister says, I love hearing that cricket. It likes being live with us. Okay. Oh, Potato Derp says, Arizona fairy shrimp doesn't have Bachynegigas eggs right now. Oh, that's too bad. It might be a while then. Crazy Guppy Lady said, what do the pill bugs eat? Well, their main source of food is just leaf litter. I go up into the canyon and collect oak leaves and maple leaves for them. Fallen leaves. You can't just pull them off the trees. You have to wait till they're fallen and kind of dry. But yeah, that's the first thing that I give them. And then I also give them small bits of fruit and vegetables, as well as fish food pellets once in a while. Whoa, I got some crazy kids.
Lana's taking me hostage.
Okay, guys. Hey guys. That looks like a really fun game. It's a really fun game you're playing, guys. It looks like it, but just wait till I'm done, okay? Dinosaurs Terror World says, is it dangerous for leopard geckos to get overheated? Yes, it is. They don't overheat as well as, I mean, as quickly or as at such low temperatures as some other geckos. Like a crested gecko can get overheated a lot more easily at lower temperatures. Say 85 can overheat a crested gecko. It's not going to overheat a leopard gecko unless it can't leave it, but yeah, it happens. So you just have to get past a certain temperature and it will happen with any reptile. G-Bear says, do you keep leechies? I don't. I have, the closest thing I have right now is crested geckos, but I've been interested in leechies for a long time, but I've never kept one. All right. Guppy says, guppies aren't picky eaters, they'll probably eat them. Yeah, I think I've seen it happen in my tanks before. Andrew Kerrigan, would you ever get a salamander? Yeah, I've actually owned tiger salamanders, and let's see, we have an axolotl, which is, I guess, it's an aquatic, completely aquatic salamander, but yeah, we have one of those. And I've had, what else? Chinese fire-bellied newts in the past. Sean Meister says, the kids can join us. And Stoogie says, what do you think about Spanish isopod species such as Porcellio magnificus, Hoffman sedgei, Ornatus expansus, Spatulatus bolivari, etc.? Let's see. If you had a chance, what isopod species would you get? Okay, I'm going to say something. I'm going to say watch this space, because one of those large Spanish isopod species that is now available in the US hobby is going to show up in one of my videos very soon. Very soon. So keep your eyes open for that, and that will answer your question. I'm really excited about it, but I don't want to give too many spoilers. Just watch this space. It's coming up soon. Dinosaurs Terror World, did you culture fairy shrimp before? Yeah, a few species. And Roger Dedham, your wife sounds happy. Now that's actually my daughters. They are playing some sort of bizarre game, but they do that. That's cool. And Andrew Kerrigan says, I have a barred tiger salamander. Oh, those are cool. I really like tiger salamanders. They're fun. We used to have one named Commodious Rump because he was such a big, chubby salamander and loved to eat. So that was fun. And let's see. I'm sorry, I can't catch all of these guys. I'm trying. Fresco Cascabel said, you mentioned before you lived in Utah, do you get out in the field much? That'd make for some great video. I would love to do some herping soon. I have done it before. This summer, not so much. I usually do some in the summer. I did have an interesting experience getting pretty up close and personal with a rattlesnake. I usually see several rattlesnakes every year. I think I only saw one this year, got pretty close. Maybe I'll put that in one of my videos sometime. That was kind of fun. But usually I like to do some herping. This was a bad year for it for a couple of reasons, and one was because my daughter broke her toe. And so it was really hard to hike this year, but I usually do more. And I will try to do, some herping videos next summer. My son is now going to school down in southern Utah where there's a lot of good herping, so I think we're going to go down there and pick him up sometime during the summer and then go do some herping down there. So, Potato Derp says, my little bottom-feeding rascals have a habit of sticking their face out of the water, making a loud smacking noise at me. It's hilarious. I really like those little things. I love that. I used to have dojos, and dojos would do that. They were great at that. It was really funny. So, Dinosaurs Terror World says, are you a farmer? And Little Bob says, he's a farmer of pillbugs. It's fairly true. I now got 19 species. And Dinosaurs Terror World, what species of fish are you planning on getting in the future? You know what? I've been thinking about that a lot. I have not decided what I'm going to do, but I've been thinking about it quite a bit. So I'll let you know. I'm hoping it's coming soon. So Andrew Chen says, Aquarimax, I have a wild fruit fly trap, and I'm planning on culturing them. Is that okay? They do fly, though. I tried that when I was a kid. I cultured the wild ones and fed them to baby baby spadefoot toads. That were kind of local, someone had caught fairly locally. And so it works in a way, but it's really a pain and I don't recommend it. It's well worth getting the wingless type. In fact, the flightless type as opposed to the wingless type, I prefer in a lot of ways the flightless type, because when they have the wings that they can hop a little bit, the wings help them. Yeah. I would say don't culture the flighted ones if you have any recourse to do otherwise. That's my personal opinion. But people do it and it works. Crazy Guppy Lady says, doodlebugs. Oh, that is another name for isopods. There's actually a lot. I wrote a book on isopods. It's kind of a kid's book, but it's informational, like how to take care of them and learn more about them, and so on. Anyway, I did some surveys to find out the different names for isopods in different countries and different parts of the US. There are a lot, and I didn't even include all of them in the book, but there are quite a few. Doodlebugs was one of the ones I think that got into the book, though. And Little Bob says, tell her that Little says he's sorry for her toe. I will, although she's better now. It's fortunately healed now. Ray's Blue Aquatic says, hi, well, thank you for joining us. And the Arachnid, have you ever kept tarantulas? I've only babysat a tarantula, my sister-in-law's tarantula, for a while during a Christmas vacation. I haven't kept them because my wife says no. She says no tarantulas, absolutely not. So that's okay, because there are only 3 things that she has prohibited: cockroaches of any sort, tarantulas of any sort, and anything with medically significant venom. So I can even keep venomous things as long as they're not venomous, as long as they are not medically significant. Sorry. Roger Dedham, have you ever thought about doing a soft coral tank? I have, actually. I've done it. I've kept soft corals of various types. I've had the corallimorphs, the mushroom corals. I've had star polyps and, let's see, Kenyan tree corals, a couple of different types, and I really enjoyed it. But we had a big tragedy occur in our aquarium with when I was on a business trip, and somebody dumped a bunch of goldfish food in the tank, and it was not pretty. So let's see. Potato Derp says, how many of my teeny cories, they grow about 2 inches long, can fit in a 10-gallon tank? Well, that depends a lot on what you're doing with them, the water changes, the amount of food that's going into the tank, what else is in the tank, the plants and so on for the water quality. But I would say a good rule of thumb in a tank like that, maybe half a dozen, right around there. You don't want to have them alone, obviously. I'm not sure how many you have, but yeah, half a dozen might be good, but you could go more or less depending on the water changes and all that stuff. So let's see. Little Bob says, you ever think of beekeeping? Yes, we may do that eventually. We use a lot of honey because my wife can't eat refined sugar and I can't eat much of it. But honey is okay, so we may do that eventually. Daryl 2016, welcome. And 9H or 9 hours, is that, says shout out. So thank you for joining us. 9H, am I saying that right? Fishhead2925 says, hello everyone, got you playing in the background while I'm making dinner. Cool. I'll take that. Dinosaurs Terror World, do you know Afro Herp Keeper? Yeah, I've seen 1 or 2 videos. I need to actually check that out more. And Fresno Cascabel says, are your Leucomelis reproducing? Those are my dart frogs. And at the moment they're not, because I have not put any cocoa huts with petri dishes or any bromeliads in there, because I'm making the decision not to breed them yet. I am thinking about it. I would like to try it sometime, but I did confirm that my 3 frogs are siblings, and I'd kind of rather get a non-sibling Leucomelis, maybe trade one of mine for another one, so that they're not related. But I need to find some of the right morph that are not siblings, and then I may do that. Little Bob says, it's also helping the bees because the mites are killing them at an alarming rate. True, we need to get more bee colonies going. Dinosaurs Terror World, do you have any species of snake? Not at the moment. I have before. I may again. And 9H says, yes, you said it right. Thank you for the vid. I subbed. Great. And thank you for joining us. And Ray's Blue Aquatics says, remember that lizard. Oh, sorry, wrong button. Remember that lizard. Oh, Ray's Blue Aquatics was the one with the little spiny lizard. Says it did not make it. Its spine got worse and he got very skinny. I tried everything I could. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But, you know, I personally appreciate the effort that you made to try to help that lizard. I think that you did a good deed for that lizard because you tried, even if it didn't make it. So I'm sorry to hear that, but thank you for doing what you could. Dinosaur Terror World says, can mites kill a mealworm culture? Yes, at least they can basically overwhelm it, and it's not much good anymore. Potato Derp says, I think Gary was about 3 to 4 years old when he was sold. Isn't that strange? He definitely wasn't the usual 1-year-old when I bought them. That is very strange. Typically they sell them, 1 year or less. So that's kind of crazy if they sold them that old, because most betas don't even survive that long. They can survive that long in some cases, but that's strange. Little Bob said, I would love to see you walk down the town with a 4-foot ball python around your neck. I used to do that at work a lot. I would walk around with a 4-foot ball python. I don't do it anymore because I don't work there anymore, but when I worked at the zoo, that was not uncommon. Stoogie says, no tarantulas. Ever thought on getting a scorpion? Maybe a U.S. species such as Paravaehovis spinigeris, striped-tailed scorpion, or Confusus, which is a yellow ground scorpion. I have thought of scorpions, and I might do that eventually. Because he continues, their venoms aren't medically significant. I might do that. I am interested in scorpions. So Roger Dedham says, my daughter wants a Kenyan sand boa, but I want something bigger like a Colombian red-tailed boa. Ooh, yeah, that is quite a bit bigger. Yeah, but both of them are pretty fascinating snakes. I don't know. I have never kept a really big snake, and I probably wouldn't, but I would keep a fairly small one. Oscar24 says, I recently found out Ficus species Panama is not actually from Panama. Yeah, that's an ironic name, isn't it? I've heard that too, but I'm not sure where it is from. I've heard from places in Asia. Is that true? Have you found out? And Little Bob says, I love Kenyan sand boas. They're adorable. Raised Blue Aquatic says, it's okay at Little Bob. I did what I could. At least he is not hurting anymore. True. All right. Well, I'm really excited that this live stream has been so well attended. This is awesome. I'm excited about that. Biological says, hello, hello. Welcome, Biological. I actually need to wrap up pretty soon here. So if anybody has some last comments they want to make, then please go ahead and I will wrap up. I need to wrap up by 40 minutes and it's been 34. So Potato Derp says, is it possible to have such a heavily planted fish tank that you don't need water changes, especially for wetland fish like cories and bettas? Well, that is the idea behind aquaponics. So it is possible, yes. It is not necessarily, well, I will tell you, even the Wallstead method, basically, that's basically how it's based. So if you haven't read The Ecology of the Planted Aquarium, then I recommend you get a copy. The ebook copy is very cheap, It's pretty inexpensive, and it's a fairly scientifically based book, but that can help you figure out how to do it. The Wallstead method focuses on making a nice looking tank. It's kind of jungly and very thickly planted, but that sort of tank without having to do water changes. Although I think when I've talked to Diana, the author of the book, she says she does do water changes now, but you don't need to focus on water changes in the same way that, you know, the religiously done partial water changes that people do in other setups. But in aquaponics, basically you just top it off. That's it. You top off the water. So people do it. It can be done. Okay, people are saying funny things. Little Bob says, bye, beautiful bearded man. Also tell your wife that she's got an amazing beard. I guess this is hers, and the fact that I'm hers, I guess that makes sense. Crazy Guppy Lady, thanks for chatting with us. Thank you for joining us. Fresno Cascabel was saying Wallstead method. Yeah, that is exactly right. Dinosaur Terror World, have you cultured superworms before? Not yet, but I should. 9H says, my little brother doesn't believe you gave me a shout out. Please prove James wrong. Sorry, James. 9H is right. he got a shout out. So, Raised Blue Aquatic says, oh yeah, I need help. I found some minnows in a pond that had ick. I already treated them with some ick treatment, but hey, they are getting worse. Caught at least 20 of them. Any tips? Wow. That is, so what did you treat them with? That is going to be part of the issue here. Let's see, because that would be interesting to find out. That may be helpful to me if I know what you treated them with, what type of medication, what you're doing with temperature, and so on. Dinosaurs Terror World says, where I live, the only animals is the Arabian oryx. Wow, yeah, that's kind of cool. I would love to see those in the wild. Roger Dedham says, do you describe to Brave Wilderness? I don't think I'm subscribed, but I have watched quite a few of the videos, and there's some pretty cool stuff out there on that channel. It's kind of like going out and you can see things in the wild. I like some of those videos that I've seen. Stoogie says, oh yes, and thanks for the stream. I'm thankful that I finally caught the stream. Me too. Thanks for joining us. Now, do I know you from Arachnoboards? That seems familiar. Oscar24 says, from what I've read, Ficus panama is from East Asia. Okay. And Little Bob says, yeah, you need to use a certain amount and know the volume of the tank. Also what you're using specifically. Yes, with the medication for the ick. And Little Bob says, I love Coyote and his crew, and that's from Brave Wilderness. Okay, so that's Stoogie. Yeah, I'm on Arachnoboards. That's where I've seen your name before. That makes sense. Okay, Raised Blue Aquatic says, I treated them with some ick liquid. I can't remember what it was. Sorry. That's okay. But what you've treated them with, there may be something more effective out there that can help you. And what's your temperature in the tank? If they are minnows, you may not be able to get the water very warm. With many fish, I will treat, with many tropical fish, I will treat ick based on temperature alone. A lot of times temperature is enough to disrupt the ick's reproductive cycle. So when it's probably been, I don't know how many years. I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 years since I last had an outbreak of ick. But when I did, I had angelfish, and I turned up the water temperature to like 84 degrees. Not all at once, I did it slowly. Went up to about 84 degrees, left it there for a couple of weeks, and the ick died. I didn't have to use any chemicals. But with minnows, if they're from outside and you don't live in a tropical area, and you don't, because I can't remember where you live, but eastern fence lizard, you live in the US back east, I believe, is what you mentioned last time. So yeah, if they're minnows, they probably can't handle such a high temperature. I mean, some native fish can, but minnows are typically from, you know, flowing streams where the temperature stays fairly cool. So you probably can't use temperature alone. Jamie Bonani says, do you or anyone you know of magenta, Dracaena marginata, and purple waffle, Hemigraphis alternata, are safe for reptiles and tree frogs? Dracaenas are fairly commonly used in vivariums. Those should be fine. Purple waffle, I am not sure. Does anybody know about that? But the Dracaenas used to be safe. Fresno Cascabel says, raise salinity. That'll help with ick. That is often very helpful too. That's a good point. Raised Blue Aquatic says, I'll do some research on it. Thanks. And oh, gotta go. My dad is picking me up. Bye. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, Raised Blue Aquatics. Dinosaurs Terror Will says, the Brave Wilderness channel. I thought that guy died a long time ago. Oh, you may be thinking of Steve Irwin, and it's a different guy. But okay. Oh, I'm seeing I gotta go in about 25 seconds. So once again, this has been a really successful stream. Thanks for joining us. Please keep watching. Please spread the word. We're almost up to 5,000 subscribers. When we get there, I'm going to be doing a giveaway if I can. That's my plan. So goodbye, everyone. Thanks a lot, and have a great weekend.